Hello, so today we're going to be looking at a helmet, and this was very thankfully, nicely sent to me by Hype as a birthday gift. So this is what's called a Chinese WISCO helmet, as in W-I-S-C-O, which stands for something like Wuhan Steel and Copper or something. But basically, there's a Wuhan factory, yes, that Wuhan, that makes helmets, and actually pretty damn good helmets. But obviously, due to the pandemic, they haven't been making stuff for a while, but they've started up again. So, weirdly, a lot of their helmets actually are just sort of clones of US helmets, but not necessarily made from the same materials, which is pretty interesting. So, yeah, WISCO is something like Wuhan Steel and it might be copper, it might have been steel and concrete, I can't remember, but basically, it's a Wuhan factory that makes things like helmets and steel pots and things like that. So, this is one of their helmets. Now, those of you that are very familiar with helmets will realise pretty quickly that this is a rip-off, at least design-wise. I think it's the UHMWPE 2000 helmet. And that's one of the US helmets that came after the Pasket before the ECH, where they've had all their sort of different, slightly improved Paskets of each generation. They also do a Fast helmet variant, so that's basically his helmet without that bit on. Fast is pretty famous. So, just taking a quick look at it from the outside, obviously, it's got all the stuff you can put a cover on. It's got your mount there for night vision or whatever you want there, and then there's the side mount if you wanted something like either a flashlight or like an IR laser or something on there, or I guess additional mounts for sort of bits attached to the helmet. So we'll give this mount a quick check in a minute, but let's talk a bit about the helmet because this is quite interesting. So this is actually a thermoplastic helmet made from UHWPE, if I remember the name right, but ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, whatever it is. The same thing my current favourite helmet's made out of, this. So this is made from the same sort of material as this. Now, just to point out, the protection rating of this helmet is nowhere near as good as the British one, or the American one, depending how you look at it, the ECH or ECH sort of licensed copies. But it's still pretty damn good, so it's a bit heavier because it's a bit thicker. But, it's not quite as good in terms of protection as the ECH style helmets. The reason being, it's just, I guess, the Chinese technology is a bit behind on the thermoplastics. So they make these helmets in both Kevlar and thermoplastic. This is the thermoplastic variant. Weirdly, Hype said they're actually selling the thermoplastic ones now cheaper than the Kevlar ones, despite them being slightly better in terms of protection. So, basically, this is rated to stop up to 7.62 by 25mm Tokarev rounds, so it would be an NIJ level 3A rating, as in the majority of pistol rounds, not rifle rounds. Now, again, I don't know if this is a bit like with the ECHs, where they actually perform better than they say on paper, but there's pictures of these being shot, or like the inner bits of these being shot by pistol rounds, and they can take quite a lot of successive rounds before they crack through. You get some back face deformation, but that's it. So that's pretty impressive. So this would actually be a very good helmet if you just wanted one for, general kind of military, civilian, sort of, paramilitary style use, whatever your need for it would be, journalistic use or whatever. I do like the feel of this. This feels heavy enough as well that it would actually stop physical blows to your head fairly well. Alright, I'll show you the inside liner. It's a bit basic, but it's comfortable enough. So, chin strap wise, it's one of these basic chin straps like that, that just buckles up. And the inner liner is just literally no harness, just foam pads stuck to the inside of the helmet, which, I guess works fine. So the idea being that, you get it with the pads for your head circumference and it just slots on pretty good. This one actually fits me pretty well, so without the strap done up, it's not going to really easily fall off, but it does sit where it's meant to sit on my head. So that's pretty good. As said, this is still by far my favourite helmet in terms of protection and now just how good the liner is for it. The idea that you just tighten that little bit at the back and then it immediately gets to your head circumference. But, I'm kind of comparing one of the best helmets available on the market to, something that's pretty damn affordable by the sound of it. So, interestingly, Hype was explaining this to me, it comes with a kind of guarantee, and this is because China's trying to make sure that their export stuff isn't, complete crap Chinesium that's turning up all over the markets and hurting, China's image at producing things. So apparently this is basically meant to be designed so there's kind of like a warranty type thing that if you were wearing this helmet and a bullet penetrates it, that it's not meant to penetrate it. Either you, I guess, or a family member gets what would be equivalent to about £200,000 plus, or $250,000 sort of in compensation. So that's pretty good. And I think the idea of that is just to stop like lots of really awful Chinese companies flooding the market with absolute shit, so that there will be like repercussions if they sell stuff that's meant to be protective and isn't. Obviously, if you are buying helmets like this, make sure you're not buying the airsoft variants, make sure you're buying the actual ones that are thermoplastic or kevlar. You can tell if they're thermoplastic or kevlar because they've got a lot more weight to them than a very thin polycarbonate airsoft helmet. Anyway, let's see if I can get the mount to go on there. That's a Rhino mount, if I'm right. I think this is a Rhino mount, so let's just take it off. And that should just slot up into here if it is the same type of mount. And I'm doing it the wrong way around, which isn't helpful. Let's flip that round like that. There we go. So that should just push up into there. And has it secured? Yeah, it's secured alright, there we go. So obviously I've not got the pulsar on it at the moment, but yeah, that mount works absolutely fine. So there you go, you can have your night vision up on there or whatever, and it should just, with the button to press and pull off. There we go, yep. So again, exact same mount this helmet has at the front. So things that are compatible with things like the ECH or the Virtus helmet should definitely be compatible with this helmet for the most part, unless, they have other ways they attach, because obviously it's not exactly the same shape all around. But yeah, basically this is just, a Chinese copy, physically, or in terms of shape, of the US MICH 2000 helmets. But what's very interesting again is the material they're made out of. Because they're thermoplastic, the protection of them is actually pretty damn good. So yeah, if you're interested in these helmets, as they're the Wuhan Steel and whatever corporation ones, I'll put a proper Wikipedia link in the description. You might have to contact somebody who knows about Chinese goods to make sure you're buying a legit thing and not, again, some Chinesium stuff that's not very good. But, it's nice that there's an export from Wuhan that's not Corona. Might actually be quite good to us in the Western world. So, he's sending me a cover and everything for it as well, so when that comes I'll fit that to it and do a video on that. But overall, this is pretty impressive. It'd be one of my favourite helmets, I'd say. Obviously, as I've said, by far, this is still my favourite helmet just due to how strong and lightweight it is and how good the liner is. But this is going to be up there. If it meets that NIJ 3A rating, it's going to be one of my most protective helmets. It won't be the most protective helmet, but it'll be up there. And the fact that you can attach stuff to this helmet, like IR devices or whatever, and a night vision or visors quite easily, goes up there. I might try and see if I can get a ballistic visor for this helmet, because I would kind of like a helmet like this with both good head protection and a riot style visor on, or ballistic visor on it. Yeah, so big thank you to Hype again for sending me this for my birthday. I really appreciate it. I've got a British MD3 meter being sent to him in China at the moment, so one of those old interesting radiological detection meters. And yeah, I like this thing. It's simple and straightforward, and it's nice to know that China are actually making helmets that are pretty much the same protection quality now as lots of European nations. America's sort of UHWPE, whatever it's called, helmets are slightly better, as in, they'd probably be NIJ 3 rated rather than 3A, but I imagine if China's already making stuff now out of thermoplastic, it won't take them long to catch up. And as I said before, thermoplastic is a really, really cool material. I've done some tests on the thermoplastic plate, and you'd be amazed how little knives and things can go into it. So this should offer you fairly good blunt force protection, I imagine. The harness inside isn't designed to, absorb shock all that well, because it's just the foam padding. But, it would certainly better something hard hits this helmet than hitting your actual raw skull. And against pistol rounds, it should be pretty damn protective. And as said, they do come with a sort of warranty, so it's not just them claiming it does that and doesn't actually stop it. So, pretty good. It'd be good if some people in America, get hold of some of these and maybe do some test videos on them with different, shotguns and pistols and whatever. But yeah, overall I'm pretty impressed with it. It's certainly comfortable. Again, it's just a kind of copied design in terms of the helmet's physical layout. So if you wanted a Pascut style helmet, MICH helmet, whatever you want to call them, it is just that. Again, they do them in the fast varieties, but I'm not a fan of the fast helmets. They're the ones that basically don't have the protection there, because they're designed so it's easier to use comm equipment with it, whereas because I'm not really planning on using comm equipment with helmets, I'd just rather have a helmet that gives me the most head coverage possible. Yeah, this seems pretty good. At some point I'll do a follow-up video testing various gas masks or respirators with it. But yeah, overall, I'd say it seems pretty damn good, because, it is the size it was meant to be, because Hype asked me for my head circumference, so I said my head circumference plus maybe 2 centimetres just to be safe, because sometimes helmets are on the small side. And this, sits low enough on my head that it's where it should be. Without tying it up, it's not really loose. And, it has got adjustable straps, where you can tighten the chin strap both vertically and, horizontally. you know, again, I'm not a massive fan of these very basic buckle head straps, but it's not bad. You know, it'll keep the helmet on your head. But yeah, it's all in all pretty damn good. A very nice birthday present from him, so thank you. And I am, you know, quite interested in seeing how these helmets continue to improve, because, you know, it is nice there are more thermoplastic helmets coming onto the market, because I think within a year or two thermoplastic is really going to be overtaking Kevlar in a lot of applications, because on paper it is a lot better if made to a good standard. So this is a bit thicker and heavier than, say, for example, a US ECH, and it offers less protection, but that's just because I guess the Chinese thermoplastic isn't as advanced. So just to show you before I finish the video a side profile of each of the helmets, you can hopefully see there that the ECH style helmet or the Virtus style helmet is a little bit thinner, and that's just because I guess it's a more cleverly made thermoplastic, but there's not loads in it. Weight wise this is a bit heavier, but then again I suppose it's got rails and stuff on it, so you know, I imagine like for like the weight isn't all that different. But you know, as I said, I'm more excited to see what will be developing from these sort of helmets, because you know, the more affordable high protection helmets get to regular people the better, because you know, ultimately it would save a life if you're ever in a situation where you needed a helmet like this and something hit you in the head.